All right, today on the Buy Round, we have a very special guest. As always, we bring in some of the best talent in rugby league and welcome none other than the hectic cheese, Brandon Smith. I've got to say thank you so much for joining us, mate, because you're off to my home country in 2 days' time. So thanks for taking the time out and squeezing us in.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited. Hopefully, I won't muck up on this podcast like the last podcast.
We'll look after you, mate. We'll look after you. Going to England, though, it didn't nearly happen. It very nearly didn't happen, did it? There was a bit of a drama with the passport.
Yeah, she was a tough start to the day. I finished up after me player awards night, and I got a phone call from the cop station. I didn't know that's not a good way to. So you woke up to the phone call? No, I was at the awards night and I got the phone call, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because I just thought my passport was at my house where it normally is, and turns out it was at the cop station in Shepparton, which is 2.5 hours out of Melbourne. So I had a pretty big drive this morning. I woke up at 4 this morning and drove there and drove back, and I got back to the airport 25 minutes before the flight took off, so happy days.
Well, mate, if you ever get a phone call from the police and it's good news, hello, it's officer, and you just heart sinks. Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, it was good. I was pretty stuffed if I didn't get that phone call, to be honest, but I was surprised they answered the phone call, though. I'm not very fond of answering the phone call from the police station.
Yeah. So your passport's sorted. How's the rest of the prep going for? Oh, sorry. Hang on. How did your passport end up at the police station?
Well, so after the Mad Monday, I left my car outside the pub because it's responsible, and I didn't go back to get my car for about 3 days. And when I went back to get my car, all the doors were open, the boot was open, and all my clothes were scattered up the road. And I know why. I won't say his name, but he left my car unlocked because I let him borrow jeans because I had lots of clothes in the back. And my golf clubs were missing, and I just assumed that this bastard has taken me passport with him. So I'm grateful for the Shepparton police station.
Oh, so you've lent your car to someone in the team?
No, so they had shorts on, and I let them go to my car, gave them my keys. They grabbed a pair of jeans out, and they've not locked it. So,
and this is a former teammate of yours.
He's still my teammate until October 31st. But I still haven't let him know that this has all happened, but I know it was him. And
I'd love to play a little game of Guess Who with you, and put all the Melbourne Storm players here. Now,
I don't reckon you'd get it. It'd be a tough one.
Was it a pair of your jeans they borrowed?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that knocked Big Nelson off.
And Paps.
Yeah, they're gone. We'll end it there. So we know it's not Nelson.
I like your method though. It's good.
It's not Nelson and it's not Paps. So.
It was Chris Lewis, guys.
Boom. There we go. Other than that, mate, the preparation for England's going well. You must be confident going over there with the side and the squad that the Kiwis have got together. You were fantastic in that mid-season test against Tonga. You must be very confident going over there.
Yeah, well, don't want to be overconfident at the moment. We haven't really had a training sesh because there's a lot of I think there's a few new names that have come about since that Trans-Tasman test. But all in all, I think we've got a great side. We've got a really good forward pack, which is that makes me really happy. And we've got a good defensive coach. I really liked that when we had our mid-test against Tonga, how he kind of approached his methods with defence, and he was quite an aggro man, and it kind of G'd you up to want to sort of become a great defensive side. And I think that's what we're trying to pride ourselves on at the moment, and I think that's what we'll probably win the World Cup, to be fair. I mean, the last World Cup was won 6-0, and you can't say that wasn't won on defence.
Yeah. Who is your defence coach for the Kiwis?
His name's Steve Price. I think he was at the Sharks, but I'm not too sure at the moment. But, yeah, not the big Steve Price from Bulldogs and Warriors, but, yeah, he's got a big chopper read, Mo, and he looks like a little bit of a dangerous man. He's got a few screw loose. You can tell he looks like a bit of a murderer.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to listen to someone, it's someone that looks like a murderer, so I'm going to defend for you, mate. Yeah. But yeah, mate, International Rugby League is back on the calendar, mate. Obviously, I'm very proud Englishman. Love my time playing for England. We don't get Origin, so this is our time to shine, isn't it? So I think it's super important what we're doing. We're taking strides in the international game. Yeah. Like some of those games between England and New Zealand over the years have just been phenomenal. You touched on the World Cup final in 2017 that I was a part of, and that was an amazing game. That was
a crazy game. The last, when we played against each other in the last tour as well, those first 2 games we played, obviously we didn't come away with the goodies, but they were cracking games. And what I loved about the England team is after we hate each other on the field, but after every single game, it's she's on after that, and nothing but friends and good relationships built. I still don't know what Johnny Bateman says. For 80% of the time, I remember going out with him in England, and he was just in my ear non-stop, and I was like, mate, I do not know what you're saying. I think that I was laughing and giggling, mate, absolutely.
Yeah, just nod and smile.
He's got a strong accent, that man.
Mate, some of those, that game at Anfield, that's one of the best I've ever played in. Yeah. The one at Hull was really good.
Yeah.
Like,
was that the second one?
The first one was in
the first
Hull,
one.
And then the second one was at Anfield. Which was,
both those games were bloody just arm wrestles the whole way.
And then you spanked us in the third one.
Yeah, I think you guys got in the piss after that second game. And no, you were not happy either at that last game.
No, I did. We did not go out drinking after that victory at Anfield. Okay. Of course, I think we were down on troops as well. Yeah. But it was there's some fascinating contests, and I really like what the Kiwis bring in general. But I'm excited. I think Australia are favourites looking at the betting market, but the Kiwis should be right up there. I think
there's a little dark horse as well. I love what's happening at the moment with the World Cup teams. There's so many teams that are like a genuine shot at being something special. I think that Samoan side, I think I looked at their name the other day, and they are stacked to the Richter, and there's a lot of people pulling out of the Aussie side, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're a bit of a dark horse. They're pretty much 50% Penrith, so I know. They're a decent side.
Yeah, well, mate, England play them the first game.
Yeah.
And no matter what, like any test match is going to be tough, but you kind of think, we should be able to get them.
Yeah.
But like now you look at the team on paper and far out. Like
you just got to hope that they have it's one of those teams that win the grand final. They have a really big, really big after party and miss the plane to England.
Yeah, well, it is crazy because the grand final finishes Sunday, and that first World Cup game is 13 days later.
Yeah.
So time is tight. That's probably a big advantage for England. That the Samoan team won't have much time together. But make no mistake, they're coming to win this tournament. Same with Tongan. The Tongan side. I speak with Christian Wolf, and like he's in it to win it.
Yeah. He used to be my older brother's coach, Christian Wolf. He's a bit of a psychopath as well, actually.
He was a brawler.
Yeah,
he was a proper boxer.
Yeah, he beat up my older brother one time.
Oh, did he?
With the pads. So that's why I've always just heard stories about him being a psychopath. But he's a good fellow though. I've run into him a fair few times.
Hey, going back, I actually, obviously we've played against each other a few times. How does and I got to know you a little bit off the field. How does a lad from Waiheke Island in New Zealand?
Have you been to Waiheke?
Yes. We've had drunk conversations around this because I've got family friends that live in Waiheke. Oh, they used to. They don't anymore, but they live in Waiheke Island.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, Brandon Smith's from here. And I'm like, where would you even begin to play?
Oh, well, when I was younger, the rugby league community on Waiheke was kind of thrived. Like, my dad worked behind the bar and my mum worked in the canteen, so she done the food and stuff, and I sold the raffle tickets at the sports club for years. I was that little snotty nosed brat that was walking around trying to get 2 for $2 raffles, and I loved it. And at the time there was a lot of rugby league teams coming through, but there's not so much anymore. But they're passionate passionate rugby league fans, and it was a long journey, I guess, because as soon as the footy started dying down in Waiheke, like I had to travel over to Auckland to play a lot, and I was like leaving school early to go catch the boats just so I could make it on time to training, and I guess it worked out for me.
Because is it more of a tourist island?
Oh well, when I grew up, it wasn't, but now it's like, it's very westernised now, and a lot of really fancy vineyards, and like the population is like 8,000, like in every other year, but every other part, of the year, but summer, and then summer it's like 30,000 because there's just so many holiday homes, and the beaches are just packed, and it's good though. All the vineyards have really nice parties, and it's quite a good scenic view, but it was a great place to grow up. Like, there's no gangs or no like violence there. I was walking the streets when I was younger, and I was like 13, and my parents would never worry about like anything happening to me because everyone knows everyone. I put my thumb out going for a walk, the third car will pick you up and take you wherever you want. Like, it was just a great community to grow up in.
So then, at what age were you making that, I guess, not sacrifice, but that big commitment to go to the main island? Because it's what would it be, like a 30-minute ferry?
I started doing it when I was 9. So I played for the Richmond Rovers, which was like based in Grey Lynn, which is like probably 10 minutes from the ferry terminal. So I would leave school at 2:30, and then I'd get to the boat, catch the 3 o'clock, and then from the 3 o'clock I'd go to training. But when I was 9, I did it with my mum. Like she'd go, and so she'd sacrifice it, at work, and she'd take me there. And when I turned like 10 or 11, I started playing for a different team called Bay Ross School Young Guns. And then by then, like, sort of it was costing a bit too much money for my mum to take me over. So, because the ferry prices went up, skyrocketed in those sort of years. And then I just learnt that you can catch the train from the Britomart terminal, and that took me to Blockhouse Bay, and then I could just walk from the Blockhouse Bay station to the training grounds, and it was pretty tough. Sometimes, like, training would finish pretty late, and if you missed the 7:15 boat on the way back, you had to wait at the ferry terminal to the 8:45, and I was like, 10-year-old kid, like, you see some pretty scary stuff there, and it was just I thought it was cool because I was like independent, and got to tell all my mates at school. I was like, I was at the ferry terminal. But then when I got home, if I called 8:45, Mum and Dad wake up at 4 because they clean. They were cleaners. They wake up at 4 in the morning, and they'd be in bed by then. So I'd have to catch the bus from the ferry terminal to my house, and then it was like a 1.5K trot, like through this like forest, like winded road, and I was so scared. I used to always just put my hoodie over my head, look straight at the white lines on the road, and just walk with like pretty much try not to look anywhere but the road. And I was a little bit scared back then, but it was it was kind of grew me up pretty quick.
Yeah, and I suppose you appreciate what you've got now because of that journey that you've been on, right? It's not just been. It's not been gifted to you. You had to make a decision to go and pursue this dream. It's like, well, a lot of people, they grow up and, the talk of, say, a guy like Adam Reynolds. Yeah. He lives a Steeden kick away from Redfern Oval. Yeah. Like it's there, the environment's there for them, but you had to go and seek this out.
Yeah, yeah. Like I didn't grow up really with money, but like my parents always gave me everything I needed. And like they always paid for everything to make me a rugby league player. And that wasn't even the hardest part of the journey. Like I moved away from them when I was 13. I moved to Townsville. I moved in with my older brother. He was signed at the under-20s Cowboys at the time. And I was really, really, really small, like when I was younger. And there wasn't really I think the Warriors weren't signing any people under 5 foot back then. So when I was 13, I moved to Townsville just to get like a opportunity to play at like a rugby league school, because that like the school I went to was rugby league was a subject, and I went pretty good at that subject. There's probably one good subject at school I was good at, but I lived with my brother till I was 17, and then I got an under-20s contract, and that's how it all just kicked off from there.
Yeah, so you started at the Cowboys, but then what was behind the decision to move to Melbourne?
Sort of just, I think it was because the Cowboys offered me a 2-year contract, and then Melbourne offered me a 3-year contract. And at the time, I was a hooker, so when I pretty much heard it I was on the phone to my dad.
Hang on. At the time you were a hooker, what do you consider yourself now?
Oh, yeah, well, I've been playing lock all year, so. But I played lock pretty much like a lot of the juniors as well. And, I got the phone call from my dad, and he speaks to my manager pretty much more than I do. But he told me that the Melbourne Storm were interested, and I was pretty much like, nah, yeah, that's it. I'm done. Didn't really matter what the contract was. It was like, Craig Bellamy, when I was younger, was probably the only coach's name I knew. Like, I didn't really know anyone else. I just knew because they were so successful when I was growing up. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's it, I'm done. And we pretty much signed the contract the next day.
And then down to Melbourne you go?
Yeah, and then down to Melbourne we went. It was, it was pretty good.
How was the introduction there?
It was more than I expected. Like, it was a lot of like video and stuff. I didn't think it was going to be so much like that side, and they have a good thing where they teach you like about the old like players that come through, and like this is what they do, and sort of they have this saying, it's before you drink from the well, remember who dug it. And so you really get to know the history of the club like pretty much day one, and then throughout pre-season you have like you have to do extra sessions, which are like these sessions just dedicated to like what Melbourne are into, and it's pretty awesome. And then obviously got the work program and the army camp. Those are pretty difficult things. The work program was, for me, is probably the hardest one. It's waking up at 4 a.m. and then going and concreting for 8 hours, and then going to training first, doing gym, and going and concreting for 8 hours, and then coming back and getting flogged on the training paddock. And you do that 5 days a week for 2 weeks. It was pretty tough, and I guess it just tries to teach you gratitude. But we had people like Riley Jacks. He had been a full-time builder for 6 years, and he's still on the work program going, we need to teach you what it's like to be a working man. He's like, mate, I've been qualified for 6 years. Yeah. Like, I know what it's like to be a worker, but everyone has to do it. So, It
sets you up for success though, right?
Yeah,
it
right.
makes you appreciate what you've got.
Exactly. It sets you up to have that mindset that you've got to be grateful you're not digging holes from 9 to 5. Like, you're out there. Like, we train 3 days a week pretty much for 26 weeks of the year. And some of the training sessions are 2 hours long, and then you go home. Like, it's a pretty cruisy life, all but pre-season.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You know, when you're concreting, you don't go, what's the massage schedule today?
Exactly.
Like, can I go on first because I've got to be somewhere?
You're not complaining about the free buffet chicken breasts that are dry.
Yeah. You do get looked after, don't you? And sometimes it's important to remember that, because you can get lost in it. You certainly can get lost in it. Hey, do you think that down at Melbourne, they've got an advantage being a one-team town? Like, everyone's, no one's from there. It's like, so you come from Waiheke via Townsville, but then it's like, okay, well, we're all in the same boat here. We're all, we're all outsiders.
Yeah, I think Townsville's similar. Coming from town, it's very similar because everyone's pretty close. Like in Sydney, everything's spread out. Like, people can live in the Shire and people live in Bondi. Like, your best mate could live far away. You don't really see each other. But Melbourne's spread out. But I didn't know anyone in Melbourne. Like, I didn't know one person. When I come there, all the people I met, all my teammates ended up being my best mates. And I guess that is an advantage. And there's another advantage. There's not really much external eyes on you when you're in like an AFL-based city. Like, I think you get away with a lot more, at the pub, and no one's really harassing you that much. And that's why I think it's going to be a big change for me moving to Sydney. But yeah, to answer your question, it's definitely a better feel, like being able to hang out with all your mates every day, because we go to training, and then we go to lunch, and then we go to dinners like very often, and then we all us young fellas, like all not really young anymore, but all us fellas from 26 down all live in the same suburb.
Yeah.
And we're like a bike ride away from each other, and we just all hang out. And I think it just makes you want to play for that guy, and just really, play a little bit harder just because that's your best mate out there. And everyone that's come from Sydney that's come to Melbourne has sort of told us it's not really like that in Sydney. Like, you don't really hang out with all your mates because they've got family and they've got other friends that they grew up with in Sydney. So
yeah, I know what you mean. I was the clubs I played at over here. The Dogs very spread out.
Yeah,
and the Dragons, there was a half a group in Sydney, some in the Gong, some further down south. It's got its difficulties in getting together, but it's match made in heaven in Melbourne, where that's the only people that you know.
It really is. It's pretty hard because I know I'm leaving all the boys, so it's just going to be a tough one, but one you have to make.
You'll be all right. Jump too much. How is the move going so far? Have you got a place sorted yet? You got stuff up here, or are you gonna deal with that after the World Cup?
I'm going to deal with most of it after the World Cup. I'm trying to get a place, but obviously it's pretty hard in Bondi, and I won't disclose how much because I don't want too many people knowing.
Yeah, where you live. Yeah. But have you folks still got the place on Waiheke Island?
No, they don't.
They could have sold that, and
they could have sold that and then brought all of Townsville.
Yeah. It's through the roof. Looking back at your time with the Melbourne Storm, the 2020 season where you won the comp, but it was a shit fight of a year in terms of the on again, off again season, relocation, all that jazz. What set you guys apart that year?
I think throughout the whole year, I mean, especially after the second half of the season, we had a pretty special feeling about the team, and the 2020, like when we had to move into the hub, we kind of thrived in that sort of environment where we're all together all the time, and for the front part of this season, the partners and the families weren't with us, but then once they came, it made it even more special. And the Storm done a really good job in like organising events for the partners to have all together at the like the function rooms and stuff there. And then we had our own events, and then we had our events together. And they had like a school teacher, like Jerome's girlfriend is fiance, I should say now, and is a school teacher, and she was teaching all the kids. So it was really special. We sung about 50 Fijian hymns on the deck at the Aqua Bar at the place we were staying, and they were pretty special. I didn't know a single word, but it was pretty cool to just mumble a lot of words with your best mates. And I think we just were so used to being around each other so much that it didn't really matter in the bubble. And it was, and the player awards, the player awards, that was so good because it was just us and there was no one like asking you for photos and stuff, and we had a good time. So we just had a really, really happy feel about the place.
It did seem like Melbourne handled the move. It was an easier transition than most of the clubs.
Yeah,
like just hearing things around the traps that.
Yeah. I think we all get along with each other, so there's not really one like outcast in the team. So I think I loved it, especially because I was just winning money on cards left, right, centre, all day, every day. Me and Christian Walsh were just taking falls out in 500. It was good.
Oh, he's your partner.
Yeah, he's my partner. The tax actually rang me up and said I need to qualify it as a second income because we were just cleaning up.
Declare your winnings. Who's the biggest fool down there with their money at Melbourne in terms of going?
I reckon you can do this elimination thing.
Oh yeah, they get
have a guess.
Guess who? Munster. Yeah. I didn't even need to ask you a question. Oh dear, that's brilliant. Speaking of Cam, obviously you had that issue, which we're not going to go into, but facing Bellamy after it.
Nah, he was rock solid, eh? Like, he wasn't... I think he knows it's times when people are going to respond to being yelled at, and when people need a helping hand. And at that time, me and Cam and Chris all needed a helping hand and not really a spraying. We're copping enough sprayings from everyone externally, and internally. I remember Belzer. We were copping pretty much a spray from some of the big fellas at the Storm, and I remember he stood up and he just pretty much told them to shut up, but he didn't tell them to shut up. He stood up and just went, "I don't really care what these guys have got to say. You make sure you go home and your family's okay with what you've done, and you're happy with what you've done, and you come back a better man." And he pretty much, and we're talking big dogs of the Storm, he pretty much told, I don't care what these guys have to say. And that just speaks volumes of him. It doesn't really, footy player is not what he loves you for. He loves you for the person you are, and he's very family orientated, and he's one of those guys that you just want to play footy for. Just absolutely, just the best.
Yeah. I think you're naive if you don't think people are going to make mistakes.
Yeah,
and judging by what you said there, I think he gets that.
Yeah,
it's what you do next, and it's important that you learn from it. You don't do it again. And, even when people say about the role model thing, it's like, well, is it right to give a role model where you're perfect?
Yeah.
No kid has a perfect childhood. We all make mistakes. It's
for sure.
You get punished. You accept your punishment, and you become better. And even the thing about making sure your family's okay. Like any time I'd been involved in incidents, like I was fine.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, for me that was the same. I think like when I went back home from Noosa, I went to Brisbane where my family's staying now. I think it definitely rocked them a lot harder because they're reading all these things that people are saying on social media about their son, their boy, and and
they're proud of you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they talk about you to other people. Like I hate the fact that like my mum would blab on about me. And my nan would be around the local town, and then something happens, and then they go into, and you're like.
My parents are always fighting for me on Facebook comments. It's hard to get them stopped, but that's them. Then
but they kept like they're like. You're still their baby, and it's hard to imagine that, but you are.
Well, I guess if someone said that about me while they were around, they would definitely turn around and say something. So when someone says it on a Facebook comment or an Instagram comment, they're going to turn around and try to say something back. So, I'd appreciate it if they didn't do it, but I'd appreciate it if they do it anyway. I just know they got my back, and they were very, very rocked at the time.
But it's important that, because I guess we're in the position that we know it passes, and we know we've got this. We know we're going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
It's just a storm, and it'll pass.
Yeah.
But for them, it affects them more than it affects us. Like I know some shit that's been written about me, and it's like I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like I'm not.
I've gone past the point of caring anymore.
Just
now.
Like just whatever. Someone needs a headline, whatever it may be, or someone's gonna sensationalize things and call for extremes. And your parents naturally, they because they're not in our world, or in the world that I used to be in. It's like, this person's saying this, and you're like, so
yeah, exactly. They always say that to me, and I'm like, oh, Mum, it doesn't matter. Like nothing they say matters. And it was good though. When I went through that tough time, a lot of people like reached out and sent me messages, and people I've never really talked to before, and I was pretty grateful for that. And Matty Johns, I think my mum's in love with him now because he sent my mum a big long message about myself, because I obviously hang out with him a lot because of Cooper, and she bawled her eyes out, and I think I'll always forever be grateful for that Johns family for that support they showed, and not only for me but for my family. And then people like Sam Burgess and Latrell Mitchell, people that obviously have been through all the wars like that. Those guys were the sort of people that reached out, and I never expected it from them. And there's probably people that I thought might have reached out that didn't, and it's pretty crazy to see who's on your side. And Latrell's a very misunderstood man, but he's always had my back through all the sort of controversy, and I appreciate that.
It is amazing that you think, like, who stands up for you in your hour of need. And sometimes it is. It's people that you don't expect.
People that you'd never think.
But it takes that shitty situation sometimes to make you appreciate who's around. And
it's good. My dad was never really a big Latrell fan, and then now he loves him, loves him to death because of like the stuff that I've told him.
Yeah.
That he said. So
it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Mate, speaking to you, you hold Craig Bellamy in such high regard. He's done obviously so much for you. You're talking about the buttons that he pushes, him going into bat for you at a big moment in your life. But then your future was up in the air around this time last year. Can you talk us through, the decision to, first leave Melbourne?
Yeah.
Like, was there an option for you? Was there a possibility of you staying, or was that?
Yeah, there was a possibility. Like, Melbourne offered me a contract, but they'd just re-signed Harry Grant. So for me, it wasn't really. I didn't really have an option because I wanted to play hooker. I wanted to play dummy half, and I sort of just want to be, I guess, training in that position. I've barely had any seasons where I've actually trained at hooker. Like, I've been behind Cam Smith, so I trained that sort of bench role, and I barely got any reps in. Like, the only reps I really got in was after training, and do like 20 minutes, like passing the ball from dummy half, and a few like scoot drills and stuff like that, but never really like training against, a side. And I sort of got that in 2021, and fortunately, and I feel like I thrived in that sort of position. So I wanted to play hooker, and that sort of was clouded by the re-signing of Harry. And it's tough because me and Harry are probably, the close. Well, that's probably one of my best friends in the team, and we always never had a problem with each other, and we still don't now. But the decision was solely because I want to play hooker at any club.
Yeah.
But because it was the Roosters and they've got such a great, history, and they've got a good side, I mean, the answer was pretty hard to refuse.
So you didn't fancy life as a lock?
No, not really, no.
But can I ask why?
I just felt like I like playing at hooker. I don't really like getting thrown the ball and go run into this bloke. I kind of like choosing them.
You are pretty good at it.
yeah, I like thank you.
That try you scored against Penrith this year.
Yeah.
You didn't scoot out of dummy half, did you? You just got one off the ruck.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess that's what I feel. That's what I feel. I like that position more, and I feel like.
But why? I want to know why.
I don't know. I think it's just personal preference.
But you seem like you like action.
Yeah. Oh, you can still have action and hooker. Don't worry. But
not as good though.
Well, I just got to do the action and defense. That's why I think sort of a point of difference for me, because I'm not really a small hooker, am I? And if you run at me, I'm going to try bend you backwards. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I know there's a difference, but I watch your game, and I think you're.
I definitely could, but I guess I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I want to play 9, and I didn't really know if I wanted to be 9 or 13 for a majority of the time I was at Storm, because I was enjoying being a lock. Like, I was enjoying playing NRL in the starting side, to be quite fair, but yeah, I just felt like after my 2021 season that's the position I wanted to play.
Yeah. So
I enjoyed my footy more that season.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, the opportunity at 9 is going to be limited at the Storm. You're on the open market. Now, I reckon if this was the NBA, there'd be an expansion draft. I don't think you'd go to one of the already stacked teams. You'd almost be drafted to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They did make a play for you. What was behind the decision, I guess, to knock that back? Because some people would look at it as like, well, what's fair? Let's spread the talent out. You're obviously a very talented individual. Let's pop you at the Dolphins.
I think the unknown kind of scared me a little bit. I really wanted to sign there because my parents are 10 minutes down the road. So maybe that's what made me not sign there, actually. Getting away from my older brother and my little brother was probably the reason. But like when I had the like meetings and stuff, like they told me all these players that they're gonna sign, and pretty much like a week later, all the players they told me they're gonna sign, and they re-signed with their clubs that they were already at. So I was like, I don't know, it's just not feeling right. And then I turned that down sort of, and then everyone from Melbourne Storm went there, so I was a little bit filthy about that.
Yeah,
obviously I'm stoked. I'm got a good contract at a good club. So
you've got a real opportunity to do something special there. I'm looking at the makeup of the Roosters team, watching pretty closely this year. With you in that team, it's a scary proposition for anybody coming up against that, because you're not going to get any prizes for guessing where you're going to come next year and what part of the field's going to be the main focus point for you, but good luck stopping it.
I think when I played the Roosters the 2 times this year, I sort of got a little, like, it was like, holy heck, they play the ball fast. And then I, like, kind of pinch myself. I was like, I like quick play the balls. But, yeah, it's like when they get going, they're just like sort of like an avalanche. They just, once they get one quick play the ball, it just turns into this big ball of just you running backwards, turning around. So hopefully that doesn't go away when I come there next year. So
I think it'll be added to, mate, just to say the least. I think, see Manu come into the middle of the field, almost play like a second fullback. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. I already have a good relationship with Manu. We've spent a lot of time together through Kiwis and stuff. So, yeah, he's a pretty funny dude. He's so quiet and just a silent assassin.
He's a hell of a player. He is a hell of a player. So, yeah, Roosters are looking pretty good next week. You were on the golf course, weren't you, sorting the deal out? Is that what? Is that what?
No, so I'm good friends with Jared, and he sort of, I was in Sydney at the time, and he sort of asked me to come to the golf course, and geez, it was a good golf course, and I realised that then all the old Roosters boys started rocking up. I was like, oh, this is a stitch up.
So he's just casually invited you to a one-on-one game of golf.
And then he's got like, who was it? Boyd Corden was behind us, I think. And then we were playing with Jake Friend and Mitch Orbison. And I was like, oh, yeah. Geez, Mitch Orbison was good too. I reckon they were letting me win as well. Like, oh, damn it, I've missed this one. I remember I did this chip. It was like the green was up a hill, and I was down below, and I chipped it, and I've come up, and Jake Friend's like celebrating, and he's like, mate, you got it in. And I was like, oh yeah, celebrating. Now I look back at it, and I'm like, that bastard probably just put it in he's just put it in the hole and gone, mate, you're what a shot, Smith.
Random, mate. Oh, honestly, we've got a great golf coach here. Mate, you could even bypass the Roosters and be on the PGA or the Live tournament in no time. Just on that, mate, with you signing for the Roosters, obviously you made a bit of you were talking so positively about them on the YKTR podcast. Is that a regret, or is that? Oh
yeah, definitely regret. Like, it's sort of just when you get your mouth babbling and you can't really stop it, and I didn't get to hear what I said afterwards, and it's just. A lot of people took it out of context, but I guess I just wish I didn't say a lot of those things. But
that's you being you, though, mate.
Exactly.
At the same we want our players to be upfront, honest, be in a relaxed environment.
I was trying to sort of give like everyone a raw idea of what a player goes through in these negotiations, and I just kind of babbled on a bit too much, and But that's how I felt at the time, and that's what came out of my mouth. So you live and you learn, and hopefully the Melbourne Storm fans forgive me by then.
Let's say something really controversial, like something disgusting. But that's my point, right? We want players to be authentic and honest, and I think you are. Like you just
too authentic and too honest.
Yeah, but if that's who you are, then
yeah.
You know, does anyone want to listen to the company line? Oh, I'm not sure about my future yet. Like, I know I said that, and I knew the truth.
Yeah,
like, I knew that wasn't what was happening, but we'll sort it out at the end of the season. You know, I'm just respectful of the process, and you know, you just being yourself, and that's how you always come across in the media. You know, you like I actually.
It was a
prefer to listen. Yeah, I know it was, mate.
But I reckon it got a lot of listeners.
Did get a lot of listeners. That's the thing. Controversy attracts listeners.
I think the Hello Sport team, the Hello Sport podcast.
Well, we're in the Hello Sport room, mate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is the Hello Sport.
I was wearing their hat in that interview, and they like sent me some stuff. They're like, "Thanks, mate. Yeah, you made our hat go wild." I was like,
"Yeah, nice."
No, you're welcome, boys. No worries.
But again, like I say, like, you know, some of the straight E180s are very insightful, but
I think you're truthful and honest when you're on the field, though.
What do you mean? no, but yeah.
Because I got a story. The first game we ever played against each other, I think he's beat us that game. And I remember you ran like a two, I don't know what you call it, but like a two shape. And I ran out of the line because that's what I do. I ran out of the line and he passed the ball. And about 5 seconds later, I've come and tried to clean him up. But he must have seen me, and I didn't
remember it. I
didn't know it was late at the time. I thought it was like the sun was in my eyes, so I couldn't really see, but it was your skin. It was just beaming straight on me. And then I've come and hit it, and he's like, just seen me and turned to the right, and it's just clocked me straight in the neck. I'm just laying on my back like this. And, oh, God. And he stood over me and goes, "Cop that, you're fat, see?" I've gone, I had nothing to say. I just looked up. Fair enough.
I remember you shooting out. I'd already passed it.
Yeah.
And I seen you coming and just...
you see me coming, you just turned to me like that.
I like shoulder.
I was just laying on my back and just standing right over me. I was like, God. I just had to tell all the boys about that afterwards. I'm like, "Mate, did you see what James did to me? What did you do?" Yes.
Oh, what an idiot. Oh, dear. But, mate, back to you and being your authentic self on camera. Like, do you ever get tempted to be the straight 180 or not? But, like, you know,
I think when I'm a bit upset, I definitely go into my shell. Like, if we've just lost a game or something, I'll definitely go into my shell and not really want to be. But when I'm happy, I think my mouth just naturally just comes out, and I get like a lot of stiff because like people are like, "Oh, he's trying to be funny." I'm like, I'm not trying to do anything. Like, I'm just
being yourself.
Yeah, I'm just being myself, and no, I'd rather be myself than stiffen up. But we'll see.
I think that's why people like you, mate, though, because we are a working class game. We're, you know, knockabout people that like our sport, generally speaking. Yeah, we have big sponsorship, big TV deals, and, you know, you don't want to upset anyone. But at the end of the day, the overwhelming majority of people that love our game are just knockabout people. And then when you get someone who, yeah, I'm not calling you a knockabout, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just
I'm a Kiwi battler.
Yeah, and you've not changed. You stay true to yourself.
Yeah, well,
I think that's why so many people go, "I like him."
I hope I can hold on to that.
Well, mate, being in the East, it might change you.
Yeah, it might change me a little bit.
Yeah, little posh latte boy.
I'm a flat white with honey.
Oh. Have you got any plans to sort of move into a role within the media at all when you move on? Or as you're continuing on this journey playing?
Ideally, that's what I'd like to do. I mean, I can talk garbage all day if I wanted to, and obviously I can say controversial things. So I think that's checks all the boxes to be to be a journalist or be a TV presenter. And like I just got this sort of text from Charlie White. I don't know who organised this, but he just said, "Do you want to come and try out the radio and that?" And I did my first one a couple of weeks back, and I loved it. It was just like, it's pretty easy to talk about football when you play football, and it's not something you really get bored of. So it's something I definitely hope to get into. I'd like to try find a course where you can get probably better at proper English and not so much mumbling like I am. I'm a bit nasally at the moment, so I sound a bit weird, but that's something I'd like to do. And if anyone's watching and wants to give me a go, or listening, I should say.
It's actually, we do record as well, so watching, listening, got all the senses are being attacked. With your move to the Roosters, mate, what are you anticipating? What are you hoping to achieve? And how do you think you'll go living out east? Because it is a big change, isn't it?
I'm anticipating that, the team is going to be pretty different to the Melbourne Storm, I'd imagine. I think they're all pretty close, but sorry. I think they're all pretty close, but I think the whole living very far away from each other is going to be quite a difference. And I think walking down the street to get a coffee, people actually might ask me for photos rather than Melbourne. And I think that Trent, every time I've spoken to him, he's got a clear vision of what he wants to do and what he wants to achieve in the game for himself, not just for us. But it's quite infectious, and I'm pretty stoked. After I had the conversation with him about maybe coming to the thing, I was like, this sounds like the right thing to do. He talks about things that I feel passionate about. He's very competitive, and that's sort of me. I don't really like losing, and if we got that same mindset, then we could probably do special things together. And they've already got a pretty stacked side without me, so I'm looking forward to getting on the field and trying to, I guess, show them what I can do for them, and hopefully the boys take me in.
I'm sure they will, mate. I'm sure they will. You're a very likeable character.
I don't think there'll be any more blonde hair, though. I don't think Nick Politis likes the blonde hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he rang me up about it. He's like, "Why'd you dye your hair?" And I said, "No, mate, I had to." And he said, "Oh, it looks horrible." I was like, so, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe a little trim.
Yeah, maybe a little trim. Might get a crew cut or something.
Yeah. Prim and proper. Out east, you're gonna have to impress there. You spoke about the character you are. Rugby league is your home. What would you be doing, do you think, if you weren't playing rugby league?
I don't think I could say that on the telly. Well, probably just labouring. I started my carpentry apprenticeship when I was in Townsville, and probably just something like that, which I guess I'd be happy with. But this was my dream, and not only my dream, but pretty much my older brother's dream, my younger brother's dream, my parents' dream for me, and even my sister played rugby league, so her dream, and I get to live it out for them and for myself. So, it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It gives us so much, this sport, and I don't think it gets appreciated enough that makes your life better, right?
Exactly. And I know, my parents, all they look forward to every weekend is to watch me play footy. And they ring me up 3 times a day, just wanting to talk about footy. Mum, I've just had a 3-hour meeting with Belzer about football. I don't really feel like talking. I don't really feel like talking about this right now. So I just guess the really cool thing for me is knowing my parents had gave me the opportunity to live my dream, and I got to repay them by actually living it. So everything's a profit after that. Yeah.
Are they? What are they like when you wear the Kiwi jersey?
Oh yeah, I mean the first time I wore it was was pretty emotional. Because it was in New Zealand, so all my mates got to come, my parents got to come, pretty much my whole family got to come, and they're stoked. That it was pretty tough. And I scored a try, and they would have had that much money on me to score one, so they would have been stoked with that. Got denied of a double. They would have had a few bucks on me to get a double too. So, I myself just love putting on the black and white jersey. It's a completely different feeling, and doing the haka, and I love playing in New Zealand as well. It's the best when I get to get my whole support network that I grew up around, being able to support me at those sort of games, and especially for the Kiwis, it gives me a lot of pride, and a lot of the Waiheke Rams boys that and the kids come to watch, and just want to put on a show for them every time. So I'm looking forward to sort of making my parents proud again, representing the black and white over in England again.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Will they come over for it at all, or?
Nah, I don't think so. They're pretty slack. They'd much rather. I think my dad would much rather be on the lazy boy watching the footy with a beer in hand rather than coming and watching it out in cold England. So.
Fair play. I mean, he's going to have to set the alarm. There's going to be some late nights, but I reckon it'll be worth it.
Oh, they've wake up at 4 a.m. for about 30 years, so I think they'll be all right with the early wake-ups.
They'll be right. Last question, mate. It's grand final week. This will go out, I think, just after the GF. Can you tell us about your experiences in those grand finals? Well, obviously, what winning one means to you. And all the things around grand final week. Obviously it's a huge part of our calendar. It's the day we all want to be a part of, and more importantly get the win, which you've managed to do. So can you just tell us about what it means?
I think, I got the experience of the grand final really early. I signed with the Storm in 2017, and I got to be a part of that team, and they took it out. And then early on in my career, I was like, "Wow, this is the Ducks nuts! This is what I want to play footy for." And I kind of just was so jealous of all those boys getting those rings, and my close mates that played in, like Curtis played in the team, and he coming home with a ring on his finger. I'm like, man, I'm so pissed off at you right now. And then the very next year, I get to play in one. And we sort of had all these talks with people about grand finals and how they go quick, but I wasn't really ready for how it happened. We played against the Roosters, and they were pretty much just dominated us the whole game. And I remember going out there. I didn't get on till the second half, and I went out there, and it was like I blinked my eyes and the game was over. And obviously it was pretty shattering, and I'm just very fortunate I got to be part of a team that makes finals more often than not, and then I got the opportunity in 2020, and it was pretty special. But I come off the bench that game as well, but I think when I came on, we were already up by like 20 points, and then in the second half, I think we were up by 26 points with like 35 minutes to go. I was already licking my fingers. And, and then Penrith showing what the champion side they are. We were up 26-0, I think, after the 60-minute mark, and they managed to come back and claw it back to 26-20. And I remember I've never seen Smithy so stressed on the field just when we kind of were collapsing apart. And, it was that again was a game that just went so quick, and you can't just sit back and let those games, I guess, like come to you. You have to go straight at them. And I think in that first game, I kind of got blown away by that sort of like atmosphere, and it's absolutely crazy. And then after the 2021 was just, it's what I played this footy for. I mean, everything I've ever wanted to do. I never really, thought like I'd play for the Kiwis, but I think winning the grand final was probably one of the most special things I've ever done. And I gave the ring to my mum after the game, and she wears it and cleans it with pride almost every week. And I remember I went back to Brisbane and I took it out of the box that it's always in, and I was wearing it around for a little bit. And she stressed out. She was like, "Where's my bloody ring?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." So I had to give it back to her. And that's like another one how I said, like, I've had a dream and I got to live it out. And debuting in the NRL was one of them, but winning the grand final was the ultimate dream. And thanks to my parents and family and everyone, back home, I got to live that out. And all the sacrifices and all the money and all the stuff that, goes into this, the hard work, the everything they did for me, it finally paid off in that one moment. It finally paid off, and being able to give her the ring or give my family the ring to sort of just a one piece of memorabilia that just shows all the hard work and sacrifice, and it means a lot more than those diamonds and that white gold on that ring. So, yeah, it's pretty special.
Brilliant, mate. Honestly, I've loved chatting with you.
Thank you.
It's been great. Obviously, I forgot about that tackle. Yeah, but obviously from Waiheke Island.
I wish I could tell a few more stories, actually.
Yes. From Waiheke Island via Townsville to Melbourne and now to the eastern suburbs in Bondi. Brandon Smith, you've been...
I haven't made it there yet.
You'll get there. I reckon you'll go all right. Yeah, mate, thank you for joining us here on the Buy Round. I wish you all the very best in your future endeavours, especially with the Roosters. I hope you have a great World Cup, but obviously I want England to win. Might see you in the semi-final. I'll be cheering against you, but I'm sure you'll play with all that heart that you always do. I've admired you. Obviously, we've shared the field together. I admire the way that you play. I admire the character that you are away from the field. You stay true to yourself. You play with a lot of skill, but you play with heart as well, with guts and determination, and that's something that I always admire in people and love to watch, mate. You're an absolute pleasure. The game is better for more people like you, and thank you for joining us on the Buy Round.
Thank you very much. I think I feel the exact same way about you, looking up to you, and you're just a hard bastard.